about we bring on one of the greats in the national press? And that would be the host of the NFL Matchup Show, ESPN's national correspondent, Sal Paolantonio. Sal, how you doing?
Pat, I thought you were going to leave me out of the national press. I mean, I think very, very highly of this football team, and I'm always like, I'm like Nikita Khrushchev. I'm banging the shoe on the table at the UN, on the UN, and making sure that Eagles get their due. But I'm shocked too. Nick Sirianni for sure. I thought he would be odds-on coach of the year. I mean, come on, you transformed Jalen Hurts into a Super Bowl quarterback, on doorstep of the Super Bowl. That alone, and you had the best record throughout the NFL most of the year, Pat.
I sometimes wonder, what do you think it is? Do you think it's? I mean, his appearance is not that of an NFL. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but his appearance sometimes is not that of an NFL coach. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow all the time. He's not that Bill Belichick square-jawed guy. I don't know, but he clearly isn't getting the respect he should get, right?
No, I agree. He's not getting the respect.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Sal, let's go. There's a few things I want to there's a million things I want to talk to you about this game. Let me hit you with a couple of these first, and you tell me, just give me your thoughts on them. They're the two quarterbacks, the youngest combined age ever in a conference championship game. Is this maybe a little bit of the changing of the guard? Because I went back through a number of conference championship games, and for the last 10 years, they've had a Rodgers in them or a Brady in them, or a Matt Ryan or a Drew Brees. A little bit of the changing of the guard here.
Yes, passing of the torch, changing of the guard. There's no question about it. So one of the guys that I like to listen to, who I think is very smart about these things, is Steve Young. And Steve Young was asked what advice he would give to one of these young quarterbacks in a title game on the doorstep of the Super Bowl. And he said, it's over quick if you make a mistake early. Make sure you don't make that mistake early in the game or late in the game. And there's only a few opportunities. It's not like the NBA. It's not like the World Series where you have a best of 7.
Right.
It's only, you're one and done. You don't get the opportunity to make the big mistake in the big game and survive. It's just very rare that happens. And so I would say the quarterback that does not turn the ball over is going to win this game, I think. And I think the Eagles can force Brock Purdy to turn the ball over.
Yeah. I was going to mention, Sal, Brock Purdy in those 5 games in which he has won. He's 5 of the 12 games in San Francisco's winning streak. He was, in fact, the quarterback. Well, I mean, as my notes mentioned, and not exactly a murderer's row there for Brock. You're talking about him defeating Seattle, Arizona, Washington was his first game. And then last week, Dallas, a quality opponent. But I don't think Brock Purdy won that game. But he's performed extremely well. But isn't there a notable step up in class here, and you think he's ready for it?
I think Hassan Reddick also should be in the final 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 for Defensive Player of the Year. He has 17.5 sacks. Nick Bosa has 18.5. So, and I think you look at the tape, Hassan Reddick, speed to power, rangy speed, long arms, long legs, really forceful. Up the middle, has a number of really good moves. And the way he took the heart out of the Giants on their first drive, I thought set the tone for the Philadelphia Eagles. So to me, when you look at what the 49ers were not able to do last week, Pat, they did not really block the Cowboys' defensive front very well, especially early in the game. Late in the game, Kyle Shanahan got some religion and started running the football. But Hassan Reddick and that pass rush of the Philadelphia Eagles is the best that the Niners will face this year. And they win with just rushing 4 all of the time.
Right.
They do.
Right.
But, last week, Jonathan Gannon showed us some little flourishes of creativity in his blitzing scheme. And I thought they were very effective. And he played press man coverage behind it. I think in this particular game, you're going to see some of those little creative flourishes as well. I think the major mismatch in this game is the Eagles' pass rush, specifically Hassan Reddick and Brock Purdy being under duress.
All right. Well, I want to get into that more. I want to talk more about the Niners themselves, Sal. And of course, matchups that I'm very interested in. I'm going to ask you Eagles offense versus Niners defense and vice versa. Who's got the edge? And Sal sent me just a bevy of stats from ESPN Stats and Info. Some real gems in there I want to get in there with you. Please stay with us. We're coming back with Sal.
Hey, we're right here, Pat. It's great. The show is back, Pat.
We got Sean Green.
Demand. We
Sean
tried
Green's
to leave and they pulled us right back in.
Sean Green is joining us at the bottom of the hour. We'll have some props and picks from him. Gary Myers later on. Please stay with us here on This Week in Pro Football. Hi, welcome back. This Week in Pro Football. Pat Callahan joined by the great Sal Paolantonio from ESPN, the NFL Matchup Show. We're looking forward to that, Sal, certainly this weekend. You can follow him on Instagram, Sal Pal ESPN. I got it, right? Just got it. All right, you can follow me, too, on Twitter, if you don't mind, at TWIPF Pat. I'd like about another 18,000 followers by the time this show is over. Appreciate it. All right, Sal, just tell me if this isn't just some flight of fancy on my part, but I noticed that the 49ers coming east to play the Eagles this Sunday. The 49ers have not been east of Vegas since October 16th. In other words, their schedule was such that they're either playing at home or on the West Coast, and they haven't gone east of Vegas since then. That is one hell of an advantage for a team to spend basically 3 months playing home games.
Well, it is, but it's also a disadvantage because they got to get on a long flight to play their biggest game of the year in a very hostile environment. And They haven't. Here's more important number, Pat, or aspect of this game. They haven't faced a dual threat quarterback of Jalen Hurts' quality since week 1 when they played against Justin Fields in Chicago, and they lost that game 19-10. Now, Justin Fields didn't have a pyrotechnic game like Jalen Hurts is capable of having. Nevertheless, they've gone through the whole year not playing a guy who can run like this. So I want to give you a number here that is important. So last week, the Eagles' zone read run game was historic. It was diabolical. They had 31 rushes in their zone read run game. That's where Jalen Hurts reads the defense and gives the ball off to one of the running backs.
Right.
And they gained 221 yards, Pat. 221 yards. Some teams don't go 4 weeks gaining 221 yards in their run game. Right. It was really phenomenal. And the guy who led the way was Kenny Gainwell. They have found something in Kenny Gainwell. He hits the hole real quick, and he's quick out of the hole. And I tell you, he was super successful in the zone read run game. And Jalen Hurts is the one who makes it go because he showed early what? He showed early that he was a willing participant in the run game, that he wasn't hindered in any way, shape, or form by the injury.
Well, now that begs the question. I saw a hit that you did this week with Tim McManus, and Tim quoted to you the quote he got from Jalen Hurts about how he was feeling, in which he said, quote, "I felt better, but it doesn't really matter." But you feel that Hurts is in good enough shape. I think they're playing a team Sunday, Sal, that will gun for his shoulder. You don't see that as an issue?
The Giants gun for it, Pat. So 3 things. Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Brian Johnson, the quarterback's coach, taught and focused on with Jalen Hurts. 1, get out of bounds early. 2, slide early. 3, when you're going down, torque your body so you go on your left shoulder and you don't land on your right shoulder. And it worked.
Right. All right. Now let's stay with that. The Eagles' run game versus the San Francisco rush defense. Both are top 7 per ESPN Stats and Info, which you were kind enough to send me. Both are top 7 in rush yards per game, either gained or allowed, rush TD per game, and average yards per rush. So how do you see it? Who do you see winning this? What is a pivotal matchup in this game?
I think the Eagles win it. I think the Eagles have an offensive line that the 49ers haven't faced. They're tough, strong, and smart, well coached. And I would run at Nick Bosa. So Bosa ranked 180th out of 195 qualified defensive ends in run stop win rate. 21% was his run stop win rate, and that was in the bottom of the percentile of all rush ends. So run right at him and preoccupy him, and don't let him unload in his pass rush.
Nick Bosa becomes a household name and a big star because the 49ers are winning 27-14 late in the game, and he tees off. It'd be a way different story if he's getting run over.
Yes,
you're certainly right about that.
They'll swing the guard around, or Jason Kelsey around. They'll double team him, and Jalen Hurts has become very adept at ball handling and reading, and knowing exactly when to place the ball in the running back's belly. All
right, now let's flip the script here. Let's talk about San Francisco and their passing game against the Eagles, which is, that's a veteran defense the Eagles have. There's not that many guys on that starting 11 that are going to get fooled. I think the Eagles have a decided advantage here. How do you see it?
I don't, Pat. I think, they're going to have to really study tape this week and look at the tendencies of Kyle Shanahan's offense. When is he, using screens to Deebo Samuel? When is he doing reverses and pitches to Samuel? When is he using McCaffrey between the tackles? When is he has a really well-designed middle of the field tight end screen to George Kittle.
Right.
I think that the Eagles are facing their best playmakers, the best playmakers they have faced all season long. I don't think there's another team that they have faced that has this level of playmakers.
Right.
Cowboys don't. The Giants certainly don't. Washington doesn't.
No.
Really, you have to go back to the Packer game. I thought, Aaron Rodgers did a good job of changing the pace and the direction and scoring a lot of points on the Eagles did. So I think this is a game where they will have their hands full with these guys.
Now, perhaps I should refine it to say, Sal, that if the Eagles can get Purdy in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 type situations, right, then I guess my point about the passing game maybe has more substance, because then the Eagles defensive line, as you mentioned, the 4 of them can tee off without having to blitz anybody else. Then I think the Eagles have a good edge, but they're going to have to contain McCaffrey in order to do that, right?
And where does Shanahan get in trouble historically? He passes the ball early. He goes pass happy early.
Yeah.
And, he forgets about the run game. Literally, you look at that game last week, Dak Prescott bailed Kyle Shanahan out.
Yeah.
That was not a blowout.
No, it was not.
It was not a blowout.
I agree.
And it took 2 interceptions by Dak Prescott and some really poor decision-making by Dak Prescott in order for the 49ers to win. And then, they came out of the halftime locker room and they said, okay, enough of this. It's going to be Elijah Moore. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey. We are going to run the ball. And that was the dominant theme of the second half, and the Cowboys couldn't stop it.
Right. All right, Sal, let me talk about Sal Paolantonio here from the ESPN and the NFL Matchup Show. Sal, let's talk about coaching. Now, Kyle Shanahan has been here, right? He was here a year ago in Los Angeles. Thank God the Rams were able to win that road game against San Francisco. But now Nick Sirianni, this is, now you're in the big time now. The Eagles head coach and Shane Steichen, Gannon, the coordinators versus San Francisco's head coach and coordinators. Who's got the edge there?
I don't think anybody does. I think it's a push. Kyle Shanahan has had some issues, if you remember. When he was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, Tom Brady in that Super Bowl came back from 28-3. And, oh, by the way, in the championship game last year, the Rams played better in the second half, and Kyle Shanahan did not have an answer offensively.
They were up 17-7 in that game. You're right.
Yeah. So, there's a history there of Kyle Shanahan not having the upper hand as far as coaching acumen goes.
Right.
So I think here's what DeMeco Ryans has done. He's let his playmakers loose. And that, I think, is the key. You look at 54 and 57, Bosa, 97, Warner, 54, 57, Dre Greenlaw. Those are the 3 guys you have to account for. You can block Eric Armstead, I think, number 91. They'll be fine blocking him.
Right.
I think Jason Kelsey will be fine. But then you've got to have guys go to the second level and pick these guys off. And it's hard because DeMeco Ryans has these guys in good alignment and assignment football. You watch them on film, Pat.
Yeah.
They don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
And they're ferocious tacklers, and they've got speed. Those are the two guys that are a big issue for this.
I
Eagles
agree,
offense.
Sal. And quite frankly, I think I've watched a lot of those guys. And I think they both come with an intent to, I shouldn't say maybe not an intent to injure, but they arrive at the ball carrier in a bad mood. And I think that's why I mentioned earlier about Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have got to find those two guys, you are right, and neutralize them in order to get that ground game.
So what I see them doing, what I see the 49ers doing is taking away the security blankets for Jalen Hurts in the passing game. Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown. Take those two guys away and make Jalen Hurts either run with the football or find a check down or locate Devontae Smith. To me, I'm looking at this game. They'll try to feed the ball to A.J. Brown. Why? He had 6 targets, 3 catches for 22 yards. He didn't look too happy about it on the bench at the end of the game. And Nick Sirianni on Monday even acknowledged that A.J. Brown was a little frustrated by what happened on Saturday night. So I think they'll feed it to him early if they can. And I think that is the number one gamble that this Eagles offense can take. When a guy wants the ball like that, the quarterback is prone to making mistakes and the wide receiver is prone to making mistakes, extending the ball too much. Then they start digging it out.
There's no doubt.
Pat, that is where I am concerned, is that they will overextend themselves in trying to get A.J. Brown the football, and that's where the turnovers could happen.
All right, but at the same time, Sal,
mark this part of the program down right here.
Okay.
26 minutes into the great This Week in Pro Football. Mark it down. We don't want this to be a fortune told, but I'm telling you, that is an issue for this football team, because you look at the Niners, especially at the second and third level of that team, all they're doing is trying to dig the ball out. They led the NFL in turnovers.
But you got a quarterback in Jalen Hurts who led the league in 20-plus yard passes and 20-plus yard touchdown passes. And the maybe one of the noted weaknesses, if there are any, in San Francisco's defense is in chunk plays. I think the Eagles should hit a couple. I think they could hit a couple of these, but I agree with your point. Don't force them. But I think a couple of those plays might be there.
They will try to take Goddard and Brown away. That's what they will try to do. I guarantee you.
All right.
Because Goddard, he got all bullied and he bullied the Giants.
Yeah.
And the Niners are not going to stand for that.
Yeah.
They're not.
All right. All right, Sal, how do you see this thing going out? And I think it's going to be obviously you see this as a very tough game. You don't see any kind of blowout on
I don't, Pat. I think I called the last game 38-17 that the Eagles would win. I think this game, the Eagles will win the game. I think the Eagles will win the game, but it'll be 24-20 or 23-20. I think it's just going to be a close game, a nail biter. I think, again, let's go back to what Steve Young said. The quarterback that makes the mistakes early in the game, giving the ball away, that it's hard to come back from that in a championship game, Pat. It really is.
I agree.
Pat, and, by the way, congratulations to This Week in Pro Football. You planted your flag here on JAKIB Media. You got a great producer in Xander, and they brought you back by popular demand. Pat, come on, it's championship week. You got to have This Week in Pro Football.
I hope so, Sal, and I appreciate you.
Congratulations, Pat. I mean, it's really good. I hear a lot of great feedback about the show, and you're doing a terrific job. It's a serious-minded show, and I think people are reacting to it.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate that very much, and I certainly appreciate you spending so much time with me in this segment every week. It's a real highlight. So thanks very much, and I look forward to talking to you hopefully the next couple of weeks as you get ready to don't need any shoes. There's no socks, Sal. You're going to Arizona. Hopefully you got the green socks to go with you. Huh?
All right, Pat. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Sal. Thanks very much. The great Sal Paolantonio joining me there, and great discussion about this game. I'm sure Sal's right. I'd be very surprised if this is a blowout either way, but I think if any team's going to win by a sizable amount, I think it's going to be Philadelphia. I think they can rattle this kid. And I think that's what they got to do. That is a third string rookie quarterback. Sooner or later, somebody's going to make the real Brock Purdy show up. And I think it could be, hopefully, is going to be Sunday. All right. When we get back, I just got some NFL news and notes. I want to hit you with some teams that are staring at the abyss, in my opinion, and some teams who really left fell far short of expectations. We'll look at that and some salary cap nightmares. That's next on This Week in Pro Football.